Welcome to the Protagonist Pub. My name is Tammy, and this is where characters gather. Guess you can tell it's like the fourth or fifth video I've recorded this morning. Maybe it's the last one for the day. So today I thought I would do the book recommendation pulled from my shelves of not necessarily romance books, although obviously most of them are going to end up being romance, but love books. Marriage, engagement. So these are all book recommendations. I've read some of them. I haven't read. Actually, I don't think I've read most of them, to be honest. I'm in the process of reading one. One I know is a reliable author. Two I know are reliable authors. So these are all books I want to read. They're all love related, marriage, cozies, falling in love, buying your gown, having it made, all those, February kind of vibes. So, first up is going to be an odd choice. It is a romance, but it's a title that is near and dear to my heart. That is Flamingo Diner by Cheryl Woods. And I have loved flamingos all of my life. As you can tell, there's one right there. In fact, he's relevant. When Dave and I got married way back in the day, 20 years ago this year, we lived in Virginia, and when he proposed, I wasn't working, and by the time we got married 6 months later, I was working, he wasn't. Finances were tight. Our parents were scattered and didn't like each other. And my husband is not a man of faith. He definitely wasn't when we got married. He is much so more so today. So we got married at the Flamingo in Nevada. And it made for a nice destination for everybody. The weather was warm. And it wasn't as ridiculously expensive as getting married on the East Coast. Cannot imagine the cost of getting married today. It is not something I even remotely want to think about. We had a small wedding. It was a second wedding for him. It was my first, but I was an older bride. It was small and intimate. It was perfect. And on our way home, we picked up a couple of flamingos. This is Phil. He has sat on my bookcase forever. And be impressed that none of our dogs have ever stolen Phil. So Phil can go back on the bookcase. So, I'm always partial to anything with flamingo in the title. Dealing with flamingos, I love them. So, I will read you the back of this one. Flamingo Diner has always been a friendly place where everyone knows your name. Unfortunately, in the small town of Winter Cove, Florida, it is also the place where everyone knows everything about you. As a teenager, Emma Killian didn't recognize what a remarkable business her family had created, and so she moved away. Now her father's tragic death has brought her home to face a mountain of secrets, debts, and questions about why and how her beloved father died. As Emma grapples with her out of control family, the responsibility of keeping the Flamingo Diner afloat, and a pair of well meaning senior citizen sleuths, she finds support from an unlikely source. One time bad boy Matt Aikens is now the Winter Cove police chief. Matt has always had a penchant for trouble and an eye for Emma. Now it seems he's the only one who can help Emma discover the answers to her questions and give her a whole new reason to stay home. Yeah. I'm going to read this one. I'm going to read this one. Okay. Next up, I've had this book for a while. I haven't read it. It smells really good. It was published in 2002, so it predates my husband. That is Veiled Threats by Deborah Donnelly. There's a nice wedding gown on the back, on the front. It's a cozy mystery. I believe it is the first in a new series, which, well, okay. It's not new 22 years later. Yeah, protagonist is a wedding planner. So it fits right in this theme perfectly. I love the cover. I just do. I love the cover. So, yeah, that's a cozy I need to read. Next up is a very reliable author for me. That's Elizabeth Chadwick, A Marriage of Lions. This has been on my want to read list for a year now. It just sits in my bookcase and laughs at me. This is historical fiction. It is 1238 England, so it's early medieval historical fiction. One of my favorite time periods. I'm not adding it to the February list only because the February list keeps growing exponentially every time I pick up a book. I think my brain is back in the mood to read. I'm not going to read the back of this. I've read the back of this a couple of times by now. But Elizabeth Chadwick is a very reliable author who writes amazing characters, and yes, I need to read this. Next up, new to me author, but it is His Last Letter by Jean Weston, and this is an Elizabeth I novel. I'll read you the back. Her sweet Robin, his dear Bess. They were playmates as children, impetuous lovers as adults, and for 30 years they were the center of each other's lives. Astute to the dangers of choosing any one man, Elizabeth, the Virgin Queen, could never give her sweet Robin what he wanted most, marriage. Yet she insisted he stay close by her. Although she was possessive and jealous, their love survived quarrels, his 2 disastrous marriages to other women, her constant flirtations, and political machinations with foreign princes. His last letter tells the story of this great love, and especially of the last 3 years of Elizabeth and Dudley spent together, the most dangerous of her rule, when their passion was tempered by bittersweet recognition of all that they shared and all that would remain unfulfilled. Yeah, I need to know. I need to know. I just thought I'd give you guys a peek of what caught my eye right before I turned off the camera. Kahlua is sitting on the back of the chair. She's such a goofball. Okay, dogs have a bone. I have fresh coffee. Bird has some Pop-Tart. Back to the regularly scheduled programming. Up next would be Promises and Primrose by Josie S. Kilpatrick. This is a library book for me. It is a prim romance. It is the first book in the Mayfield family series. I'm currently reading this. It is 100% clean. It is Regency romance. It is delightful. Actually, it's post-Regency. It's 1822. She was a new to me author. It was an impulse pickup at the library. I will read the others in the series. It is amazingly wonderful. Premise is that The female protagonist is a middle-class governess. Her mother would prefer that she get married and have babies, and she would prefer to be in charge of her own life. Our male protagonist is the sole responsible member of his generation, of his family. He is a widower with 2 children. He hires our female protagonist, and things happen from there. There are dogs in this story. There is family drama. There is a dual romance. There is just... It is just very well written and very sweet, and I am looking forward to finishing this, hopefully today. So, next up is a book that should probably be on my February TBR. Yeah, it's under 350 pages. I'll add it. That is The Lady of Galway Manor by Jennifer Dybel. This would be my first Jennifer Dybel book. I got this one in my birthday haul. I've read the back before. This is obviously set in Ireland. It deals with the Claddagh, which you can see here on the front cover. Let me see it. There you go. I'm very interested in this book. I will put it on the February pile. If I get to it, I get to it. I will give myself a little bit of grace. But, yeah. This is high on my list. Next one. Oh, yeah, high on my list. That would be The Gown by Jennifer Robson. This tells the story of the amazing people that made Queen Elizabeth II's wedding gown. Everyone who's read this has loved it. I am a sucker. Just that picture, it screams fairy tale. It screams wedding. It screams romance. So, yeah. I'm going to refrain from putting it on the list only because February's pile is very large. I'm going to pretend that I have some self-control and put it over there. Next up would be Susan Wiggs and the Oysterville Sewing Circle. I will read you the inside flap. At the break of dawn, Carolyn Shelby rolls into Oysterville, Washington, a tiny hamlet at the edge of the raging Pacific. She's come home to a place she thought she had left forever. 10 years ago, Carolyn launched a career in the glamorous world of fashion, but her success imploded on a wave of scandal, forcing her to flee to the only safe place she knows. And in the backseat of Carolyn's car are 2 children who were orphaned in a single chilling moment. 5-year-old Addie and 6-year-old Flick. She's now their legal guardian, a role she's not sure she's ready for. The Oysterville she left behind has changed. Her siblings have their own complicated lives, and her aging parents are hoping to retire. And then there's Will Jensen, a decorated Navy SEAL who's returned home after being wounded overseas. Will and Carolyn were forever friends as children, with the promise of something more, until he fell in love with Sierra, Carolyn's best friend and the most beautiful girl in town. With her modeling jobs drying up, Sierra, too, is on the cusp of reinventing herself. Carolyn returns to the sewing shop where she first found her passion and discovers that even in an idyllic beach town, there are women living with the deepest of secrets. Thus begins the Oysterville Sewing Circle, where women can join forces to support each other through the troubles they keep hidden. Yet just as Carolyn and the children begin to heal from their loss, a new threat tests her courage and her heart. This time, though, Carolyn is not going to run away. She's going to stand and fight for everything and everyone she loves. I think this book sounds amazing. I love the inside papers. It's the same on both sides. They're very me. I've wanted to read this for a while. I don't know why I don't pick it up. Maybe I should, I don't know, give myself an impossible choice list for February's pile and realize that I'm not going to read everything on it. It's just over 350 pages. So again, it's not long. And Susan Wiggs is a very good, reliable author. So I have no qualms about that. And the reason it fits is because it's that love of family and the love of finding a group of friends who you can talk to, and they may not be who you expected. And that has come home for me in the last, since I started Booktube. I'm finding a circle of friends that I can actually talk to, and I value that beyond words. Last choice for this list was The Bookshop of Yesterdays by Amy Meyerson. This was a find at the library. I've read the back before. This is another one of those found family loves. In fact, the last line of the inside flap is, "The book of yesterdays is a love letter to reading and bookstores, and a testament to the healing power of community and how our histories shape who we become." So, again, it very much fits in with the overall theme of love is sometimes broader than the circle we draw as young people. It actually expands outward, and sometimes we forget that. So those were just some of my physical book choices for love reading recommendations that are not necessarily cheesy romance or just straight up swoony romance. They're a little broader, wedding gowns, mysteries, they run the gamut, which is a good thing. That's how I read. I run the gamut. So I hope you found something new, something intriguing. Leave a comment down below, like and subscribe, and I will see you here next time at the Protagonist Bar.